Welcome back to the session 3 of day 2 GSTC. So this will be talking about elephant in tourism. Very interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, to moderate this session, please welcome on the stage. He is the Director of Sustainability and Conservation at Minor Hotel. He's so ready. Welcome on the stage, Mr. John Roberts. Joining him us already as well, the first one will be Wildlife Project Manager at World Animal Protection, Miss Darinya Totrakul. Together with Assistant Professor at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, Chiang Mai University, Dr. Pakkanut Bantisit ค่ะ And together with Chief Veterinary Officer at the Southern Thailand Elephant Foundation, Kok Gloy Veterinary Center, Dr. Patharawan Phumphana ค่ะ and Elephant Venue Auditor at Asian Captive Elephant Standards, Dr. Siripat Kamisi. And our last panelist for today, Sustainability Manager at Yana Ventures, Ms. Natalie Van Ochtrup. All right, the floor is yours.
Wow. Okay. Big stage. Big names, big presenters. Thank you very much for joining everybody. And yes, just after lunch, so maybe a few more people will filter in. It's been 7 years, I think, since we did this panel. This is what GSTC tell me. 7 years ago, we were in Chiang Mai. I know in those days I must have had less to do because I spent the day before that going around looking at all the elephant camps that I could find in Chiang Mai Valley, trying to see what was going on, and came and gave a nice long speech about what I'd seen and everything else. What else has changed? I think 27 years ago would have been 2019, I reckon. Something big happened in 2020, some of you may recall. It was COVID. And when COVID happened, that was kind of a reset for elephants and elephant tourism. No guests were coming through. The elephants had no work to do. It almost reset the debate. I think going into COVID, I think last 7 years ago, Dr. Im had just published the PhD. We were just getting to the point of discussing standards for elephants' welfare. Something called the Asian Captive Elephant Working Group, which is now, thankfully, has been superseded by the excellent work of these guys. We were still discussing what sort of activities were going to be allowed, what sort of activities were not allowed. There was a good deal of talk about that. There was the big question that I have nowadays during COVID, a lot of the elephants didn't have any work to do. They went back home, but we didn't stop breeding elephants. There's still elephants in Thailand. When tourism came back, it looked very, very different. There were a lot of rules and things that we could and couldn't do with elephants. The big question that I still have, because there are a lot of elephants in Surin, street begging has been overtaken. There's a lot of YouTubing of elephants and everything else. The question, I think, on all of our minds is, has welfare actually improved with the situation, with the things that have moved on since COVID, since 7 years ago, with all the efforts that have been in place? And that is the question we're going to try and answer today with our panelists. One other thing that's changed is last time, I think there were more men on the panel. Now there's only 2, which is great. And last time, with the exception of one old dinosaur, we now have, or this time, with the exception of one old dinosaur, we have a completely Thai panel. So things have moved on within the human side of things. How have things moved on within the elephant side of things? And this is what we're here to find out. And we will start with Kundrinya, who will will tell us all about what World Animal Protection have been doing in the interim.
สวัสดีค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะ Hello everyone. It's an honor to be here presenting our work. Can I start?
Sorry?
Start now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. So what we would like to present today, the title is like Ethic and Economic, the Future of Elephant Tourism. So, I'm sure you can tell that I'm not familiar with being on stage. Okay, so basically what we would like to share with you is like, we are seeing a clear shift, like travelers are more conscious and sustainability now include ethics. According to Booking.com, 76% of travelers want to travel more sustainably, and that increasing include like how animals are treated. So at the same time, our campaign, like Wildlife Not Entertainer, have significantly raised global awareness, but awareness alone doesn't change the outcome. So the real challenge is like turning the awareness into action. So I guess the real question for all of us today here is like, are we evolving fast enough and in the right direction? Because what we're seeing now is not just a shift in tourism, it is a shift in value. And that shift is already changing expectation from the travel industry, and also increasing from policy as well. If you look at Thailand today, according to our latest assessment, identify nearly like 2,900 captive elephants across more than 200 venues. So there has been clear progress, like less riding and fewer shows. But at the same time, only 5% of elephants are in the highest welfare condition. And this average, like welfare score, has remained like the average like welfare score still remain like largely unchanged over the past 15 years. So we are also seeing a rise in experience market as ethical, such as feeding, washing, and sanctuary models. But these don't always reflect the genuine high welfare standard. So these highlight a critical gap. Progress is happening, but not yet like delivering impact at scale. So with nearly like 3,000 captive elephants in industry, so these represent like both significant challenge and a real opportunity, because awareness is only the first step, but what we need now is a practical and scalable solution. Okay. So from awareness to opportunity, this is basically global shift in expectation. As we can see, like the demand is shifting. Awareness grow, travelers are more are becoming more conscious of the impact that their choice have on wildlife. So our research show that many would choose differently if they understood the welfare implication. So that's the opportunity for the industry here. It's a growing demand for more responsible and ethical experience. So the demand is here, and the industry just need to catch up. So this is no longer about welfare issue. It reflects broader shift in demand and where ethics is shaping how people choose to travel. So nearly 3,000 elephants are still used in tourism in Thailand. So these highlight both the scale of challenge and the importance of getting this transition right. And success depends on viable, scalable alternative and travel industry engagement. So if the demand is shifting, Like the challenge is making the system like catch up. So the question is no longer racial change is needed, but how we turn awareness into action in a way that is practical, scalable, and works. So what our data show is very clearly that observational only when you consistently achieve the highest welfare outcome, and this has been true for the past 15 years. And we are seeing growth while it's still small. Like these models have nearly tripled since 2010, but transition doesn't happen on its own. It's required financial, technical, and market support. This is what our elephant-friendly model provides. Importantly, like for us, the transition can't just work for the elephant, but it has also worked for the people behind the industry. Okay, so what is encouraging for us here? Like we've seen this happen across 4 venues that we work with. So this is not theoretical. It is practical and it is scalable. What we're seeing is like a clear alignment between ethics and market demand. So currently, over 200 travel companies have already committed to our wildlife-friendly tourism. And globally, this is a $160 billion market shifting toward more ethical experience. So in Thailand alone, elephant tourism represents about $770 million annually. So getting this transitional right is not just important, but it is critical. So importantly, we already know what's works. So we have supported the transition of 4 venues. And this is no longer an ethical case or a cost. It is a business case and a competitive advantage. So this is the movement. These 4 venues are not just example, but it is a proof of our concept. So each represent like real decision, real risk, and real change. So our first transition is like Chiang Mai. It wasn't easy. The owner wasn't sure about the model. He wasn't sure that the model would be financially viable. But we co-created this transition step by step. And at one point, he shared with us that he only 1 million baht left. Then COVID hit. So during the 3 years of the pandemic, we support 10 venues across Southeast Asia, including Chiang Mai. So when tourism returned, like the owner told us that he no longer require our financial support because his business became viable. He then since opened a second location, and both are now successful. We've seen similar with the Falling Giant, where the model expand to a second site, showing confidence in both welfare and business. So with Elephant Forest Piscinolog, initial skepticism turned into full transition through collaboration, capacity building, and market access. So for us, this isn't theoretical. This is work in practice. So with the right support, you can improve welfare and remain economically viable. As early of 2026, Indonesia have implemented a nationwide ban on elephant riding across all tourism and conservation facilities. This is a strong signal that animal welfare is no longer optional. It is becoming policy. And this reflects a broader regional shift toward more ethical wildlife tourism practice. So what is encouraging is this is already happening in practice. So we support the transition of 4 venues since 2019 with 3 more underway for 2026, showing that this model can work across different contexts. At the same time, observational only model are gaining traction. We are seeing momentum built across the supply and also demand of the industry. So this is no longer just an ethical conversation. It is a market shift. And the real question is whether the change is needed, but how fast can we scale what's already worked? So if you are a travel company, many of your peers have already committed to wildlife-friendly tourism. And if you're working with Elephant Venue, we welcome collaboration. Together, we can drive this transition together for greater impact. And yeah, so this is a question, how do you think the industry should change? And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Kundi. Yes, I mean, one of the key things that stood out from your talk there was that the the certain types of activities, such as riding and other things, have dropped, and yet the welfare scores have not subsequently gone up. So there's a lot of change yet to come. Now, 7 years ago, when we first did this tour, the idea of being able to measure welfare scientifically was very, very difficult. We had no idea. I think, Dr. Im, your first paper had showed management techniques and shown that every camp in Chiang Mai was doing something a little bit differently. Now, you've not been idle this past 7 years. Could you please tell us a little bit about how your research has helped us learn more about how to scientifically measure welfare and what conclusions you've drawn from it?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, John, for your nice introduction. And thank you, GSTC, for inviting me to speak at this conference. For many years, our team at Chiang Mai University have observed elephant tourism management and studied elephant welfare. So today, I will present you the key insights. I will briefly cover how elephant camps are managed currently. And as Kun Darinya said, currently Thailand has about 3,000 captive elephants across around 260 or 300 elephant venues across Thailand. And their main activities today are traditional ones, like you can see from the top, 3 figures, saddle riding, bareback riding, and elephant shows. However, over the past decades, newer trends have emerged. We call no riding program, focus on bathing or feeding, and some camps offer distant observation only, maybe 20 to 30 meters observation only. And the key concerns remain workload and carrying capacity, especially during high tourist season, like November, December, and January. So many tourists come. And moreover, there is still debate among tourists, among tour operator, tour agency, and even among camps. Yeah, they debate a lot about which type of work is best for the elephant. Let's discuss about nutrition management. Elephants are large mammals that consume over 100 kilograms of food daily, about 5 to 7% of their body weight. And so the camp have to transport and prepare fresh roughage, like napier grass, banana grass to the elephants, including the fruits like banana and sugarcane, watermelon, seasonal fruits, pellets, and drinking water for every elephant in the camp. So the budget, the main profit of the tourism goes to nutrition budget. You can see that during COVID-19 crisis, with no tourists, no income to the camp, we can see that many elephants suffered malnutrition, like very thin body condition. This highlights how important tourism is for elephants. Next, about rest area management. Keeping largest land mammals in captivity present major challenges. Elephant camp have to provide secure rest area both during day and night time for the elephant, and ensuring that it is safety enough, it is large enough, and it can prevent elephants from escapes and allow for comfort as well. Now on restraint management. How can mahout elephant keeper, we call Mahout in Thailand. How can Mahout safely control captive elephants in elephant camp? They mainly use a bull hook. You can see from the first figure that the Mahout hold a bull hook in his hand to guide or to train or to control his own elephant to work or to walk, to stop, to lay down, for example. And focusing on safety, because elephants are not always tame. When aggression, they can endanger people and they can destroy things as well. Or fear can trigger destruction or escapes from the camp. So the hook is very important equipment for every Mahout. When no tourist or at night time, in real situation, chaining or enclosures remain common despite ongoing debate. For health management, we all know that Mahouts are the ones who routinely check their own elephant's health. One Mahout per one elephant, so they know each other very well. And large camps that have more than 30 or 60, 70 elephants in their camp may hire resident veterinarians. Each camp provides a specific area, or we can call like elephant clinic, that has the first aid, medical equipment or medicine for the elephants, including the deworming and vaccination program. And elephants have a lifespan similar to humans, 70 to 80 years old. However, they can die from many diseases that Dr. On will talk about the disease later. They can die from many diseases, including non-infectious and infectious diseases. And the loss of one elephant means you lost 1 million baht. So the camps have to take a good care of their own elephants. From these management areas, we studied factors that affecting to their health and welfare. We identify their body condition, foot health, skin wounds, behaviors, metabolic markers, and the most important, we assessed stress hormone levels that we call glucocorticoids or cortisol that you may know. And we found many interesting results. For example, oversupply of the supplements like banana and sugarcane that tourists give to the elephant more and more nowadays can cause obesity and higher blood glucose level. And we found that elephants that Mahout carry hooks for restraint had higher skin wounds. Foot problems linked to longer walking distance or longer walking duration, or standing and walking on the concrete floors. And we found that the most important, we found that the elephants with no activities had higher stress hormone level compared to working ones. So we know that exercise is important. Socialization, activities is important, better than doing nothing or just standing and eating all day. So then we know that, okay, so many welfare factors that elephants have to improve their management. Recently, we want to know that this elephant is happy or not, or this camp is good or bad. So we developed a specialized tool for assessing tourist camp elephant welfare specifically. We identify key welfare measures and created a grading system and also confirmed its validation and reliability. The final tool consists of 36 welfare measures, 18 animal and 18 resource-based measures across, I think everybody know about 5 domain models. Is the animal welfare domain model framework. Domain 1 is nutrition, environment, health, and we combine the domain behavioral interaction with the mental state domain. And to score each elephant, observers interview mahout and assess the animal directly. So elephant veterinarian can use this tool to score their own elephant and monitor with this kind of score. Camp standard organizations can also use this tool. I invite ACES to use this tool as well. I'm happy to share it if you create the criteria or use this tool in your standard accreditation. We apply this tool to assess tourist camp elephants in a variety of provinces throughout Thailand, and we found that health and behavior and mental state domains had highest welfare score, when environment domain had the lowest welfare score. So maybe due to inappropriate rest areas, limited space, or the prolonged chaining, or even inappropriate enrichment. So these highlight the inappropriate environmental conditions. And finally, I think this is my last slide. Based on our studies, we offer recommendations for camps, especially to improve their environmental condition, such as allow free foraging, reduce chaining time, or social isolation, control hook overuse, or use natural floor substrate instead of the concrete floor. And so in summary, we know that elephant camp management is a very complex and in welfare aspects that tourism must address. But the thing I want to deliver today is the slogans like no hook, no chain, no riding, no show, or even no hands-on may not be enough and do not always guarantee good welfare. So all aspects of welfare should be considered instead. And we as researchers rely on science to find the best practice for camp elephants, and we hope that our results benefit tourism, camp, and elephant welfare. Yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Im. So we learn from Kundi that activities that guests and us as agents and us as tourists can do are changing, but we learn that the welfare that's not necessarily guaranteeing better welfare. We now know that we have a scientific tool that we can use to try and work on, determine the welfare of each elephant. And so now we'd like to turn to the elephants themselves. As I say, last time we did this in Phuket, I went and did a survey myself and went and had a look at the elephants. Sorry, last time we did it in Chiang Mai, I went and had a look. Our next speaker is Dr. On. She is Phuket's elephant vet, not officially, but she works for the Southern Thai Elephant Foundation. She's going to tell us a little bit about the elephants on Phuket, what sort of things they get up to, and because she's a vet, of course, their general health and how they are living today.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patarawan Pumpana. You also can call me On, like on and off. I'm a chief veterinary officer at Southern Thailand Elephant Foundation. Our foundation is an elephant charity that dedicates for healthcare and welfare. We formally registered in UK as well as in Thailand in 2017. The Step Veterinary Center, the name of the hospital, we have two main services like mobile cases. We go around in this region like Phuket, Phang Nga, Krabi, Surat Thani when we got a phone call from owners of Mahout about the health issue of the elephant. And then of course the second is we have the hospital. And the maximum of the elephant that we can have in one time, which is 5 because we have limited capacity. And the location of the hospital is in between Phang Nga and Phuket, approximately like 25 minutes from Phuket airport. And over the past several years, I have worked with domestic elephant in both of logging industry and also in tourists. And today I would love to share about the field-based perspective on the elephant healthcare. So if we talk about Thailand, Thailand is one of the most visit tourist destination in the world each year. Back to 2025, we have 32 million tourists visit Thailand, and elephant tourism plays the significant role in this industry. Of course, when tourists visit Thailand, apart from sightseeing the mountain, in the ocean or in the sea or food, elephant is one of the activities that tourists would love to have interaction with them. That you can see from the pictures. Tourists could have participate with them, as like some places they do like a mud bath, swim with them in the pool, or even like wear bikinis and take a picture with them in the ocean. And some places still do like riding elephant. And also the tourists could purchase a basket of fruit and feed to them. And on the other hand, behind the scene, this picture that you see, this is reality that reflects about the elephant health. So in picture that you see, some elephant that has like collapse, some has like parasitic infestation, like ectoparasite, like dogs and cats, they have like ticks and flea, but in elephant they has lice infestation. Some of them has wound, some have like with the an abscess, a lump of the mass, an abscess. Some has like a accidentally got trunk broken, or even like racchymation eye problem, leading to like corneal ulceration. And as Dr. Im mentioned about the food, so gastrointestinal problem is the mainly one. Some of them has a problem with like constipation or diarrhea, or even like foot and nail problem, nail crack, or even like foot pad overgrowth. Or we do have we call it serious infection disease, especially in the young elephant in the age of 1 to 9 years old, that we call EEHV, endothelial-atopic herpesvirus, which is very high mortality rate in young elephant. So in this slide, I just gonna share about the case that we had, because our foundation set up in 2017, but we could run and go out for do the treatment, start in 2020, and then you can see like the cases is rising up each year. 2025 last year, January till December, a hospital we have 68 cases, and we have 222 mobile cases, and number one of those things is from GI problem. As you see the pictures, some pictures of the young elephant, 2 years old and 4-year-old, came from with the constipation. They cannot defecate for like 9 days, or even like they defecate with the very like black poop, which is this problem. And I'm gonna share a little bit about our cases. Little boy, he's from Phuket. His name is Misap, 4 years old. He presents with the temporal and face muscle is swelling. And then also when he's open up his mouth, normally tongue is supposed to be like pink. But the first time that we see him, it's just like turned to purple, which is not good. And then later on, the owner relocated him to our hospital in Koh Koi, Phang on 16 February. We found out that he has fever. And then also from blood examination, we found that the platelet level of him is very low from normal range. It's just like 60,000. Normally, normal range is supposed to be like 230 or 250,000 up. So for him, it's very low. That's why you see the picture, we do like blood transfusion for him. We have to do 4 times. And then apart of that, we do like alternative treatment, which is stem cell onto him. So you can see in the picture, that is the progress of positive response to the treatment. The tongue of him from purple is turned to like pink, more pink, and then pink, and back to normal. So the thing that I'm gonna say is we have to treat him 1 month, and the cost of the treatment is like more than 200,000 baht. And for now, he won this virus, and he is in good health. He can eat, he can sleep very well, and fortunately, he could go home tomorrow. I'm happy. We are so happy for him. And even like Steph, we are a small organization, but we are here for our gigantic friends, elephant. And better welfare is start from all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Orn's presentation should always come with a warning beforehand, I'm afraid. But thank you for telling us the reality of what's going on, and certainly what we're facing as an industry and what we're facing as a tourism industry, and certainly keeping elephants healthy and in good welfare. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to send your questions in via Slido. At the moment, we only have one question, which is how can visitors be better educated about animal-related tourism activities? And I promise, having talked a bit about the problem so far, and it's all been a bit doom and gloom, we're going to start talking about the solution, and we're going to try and answer that question with Dr. Pat, who works for the Asian Captive Elephant Standards. And how do you know that an elephant camp is doing the right thing or not? You can't tell, as we've just found out, purely by looking at the activities. You have to have someone go behind the scenes and to give a proper rating as to how well the elephants are doing back there. WAP have their scheme, and ACES are also doing the same thing. So ACES, Dr. Pat, could you tell us all about your work?
Yeah. Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pat from Asian Captive Elephant Standard, or ACES. When we talk about the elephant tourism, many people begin with the hope of supporting a better care of elephant, right? They want to make a good choice, supporting better welfare, and do the right thing. But in complex tourism landscape, good intention alone are not always enough. We also need the trust standard to help to guide better decision. When someone steps into elephant camp, it may feel like a simple interaction between visitor and elephant, right? But in reality, it is a much bigger story. That story includes elephant, mahout, camp staff, management, visitor, and surrounding community. That's why one tourism decision can have a much wider effect than we realize. Choosing an elephant venue is different from choosing other tourism activity. It can be influence elephant welfare, daily management, staff working condition, visitor expectation, and the long-term direction of tourism in that community. This is where the challenge begins. Many players may appear responsible, and many visitors hope their choice is the right one. But in practice, it's not always easy to distinguish between truly good elephant venue and one with a strong marketing. Elephant welfare is critically important, but focusing on welfare alone does not always tell us what is actually happening on the ground. So, if we want to move beyond assumption and impression, responsible tourism needs trust standard. Standards give us a clearer basis for understanding what better management and better welfare look like in practice. They create a more consistent foundation for decision making, not only for visitors, but also for travel provider, tourism partner, and others trying to navigate this issue responsibly. From ASE's perspective, this is where standards move from principle into practice. ASES grow in size, but it is also designed for the real-world use. It is applied to the structure assessment, review, and field engagement. So this is not only about describing good welfare in theory. It is about having practical framework that can support more credible evaluation on the ground. An important point is ASET does not looking only at the elephant as individual animals. It's also at the wider system around the elephant as well. That include people, environment, camp operation, and the border community complex. This matters because elephant welfare does not exist separate from the management system or tourism practice. When the standard improve, the benefit can be extended beyond one animal or one moment. Elephant can receive better care. Staff can work within a clearer and more structured system. Environment practice can become more responsible. And tourism can be contribute more positively to the surrounding community. In that sense, better standards help to support whole ecosystem around the camp. So in the end, the question is not only whether people care about the elephant. The more important question is how to turn that care into better decision. My message today is simple. If we want a better future for elephant tourism, we should start from the trust standard, because better decision can support better outcome for elephant, for people, and for community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pat. So here we have the elephant side of things, and then to tie it to the T, the tourism side of things, is Natalie, who will tell you all about what Yana Travel do.
Thank you.
Adventures, sorry.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie, and I'm the Sustainability Manager of Yana Ventures. So I'm going to indeed be telling you a little bit about elephant welfare, but then from a perspective of tourism business. I actually watched the GSTC panel discussion in 2019. I was just curious to see where we have come since then, but also the change that has happened since I was younger. So I actually used to come to Phuket quite frequently growing up, and back then we used to see elephants roaming the streets, and you would feed them bananas or whatever. And even at the hotel that we were staying at, the elephants would be walking on the beach and they would come to your beach bed, and that was just considered normal back then. If that would happen today, some serious alarm bells would be going off. So I just wanted to stop and reflect how far we've actually come because it's a very complex issue, right? It's not only the elephants that we have to consider, it's the livelihoods of the mahouts, the elephant camps, even the guest expectations that we're trying to manage. So yeah. So after hearing all like my fellow panelists talk, I think that it's not necessarily awareness that we're lacking. It's just consistent action. And it's really from all partners and all stakeholders, because it's not the responsibility of the elephant camps alone. It's really everyone that's involved. So the DMCs, the tour operators, anyone who actually has some sort of interaction with elephants. An example from last year, actually. So we at Kiri Travel were approached by Klook, and they had come to us and they told us about this really cool initiative that they had started together with ACES, actually, and with XO. And they started a one-day assessment. So it wasn't a full certification for elephant camps, but it was a one-day assessment, something a bit more approachable. And they were also helping with funding that. So they came to us and they said, "Do you want to join?" And we were like, "Yes, that sounds great. We would love to be part of this initiative, and we would love to push elephant welfare forward." But what we were lacking back then was that action, that follow-through. That, of course, has changed. I wouldn't be sitting here today if that wasn't the case. So yeah, that's where we're at now. I'm going to share with you 3 simple things that can actually be adopted tomorrow. It's not revolutionary, but it's just very simple things that you as a tourism company can just adopt. The first one is choosing partners you trust. And what I mean by this is choosing elephant camps that have been assessed. So by ACES, you can either get a full certification, a one-day assessment, or Global Spirits is also one that's known. And the reason why this is actually a better way forward is because we don't actually know what happens behind closed doors. People can say that they're operating sustainably, but there are so many criteria that even the elephant camps themselves don't know. So ACES, for example, helps with that. And it's just really to push the elephant camps in the right direction. It may not be the long-term solution for this, but if they're not aware of what changes they need to make, then they can't really progress, right? And it really is also, I think, part of us as a tourism industry to also help them in their journey. 2, it's shaping your demand. So we have a lot more influence over our guest experience than we sometimes think. So it's really about shaping your demand and telling your guests why we, for example, choose to work with a certified camp, or why we choose to not have camps that have riding or elephant shows. An example from Anorak Lodge, actually, that's one of our properties in the south of Thailand. We choose to work with an ACES certified camp, and it's an hour away from our lodge. So for those of you in work and tourism know, an hour away is not necessarily a small commute. It is a bit more of an investment. But we do choose to work with them just because then we can back our arguments up and tell our guests, like, yeah, we are working with an elephant camp that actually practices ethical elephant welfare. And 3 is stay engaged and just listen to the research that is being conducted by all the experts here, and also to join the conversations that are being had on this topic. Just yesterday, we gathered with a couple of DMCs here at the GSTC conference, and we just openly discussed this topic. We don't necessarily have a solution right now, but we are openly talking about it, and I think that's an important step forward, to collectively tackle this issue. So yeah, today what I shared with you is not necessarily revolutionary or new. I think all of you know what needs to be done. We all have elephant welfare standards, we all have animal policies out there. But I think it's really changing from intent to action, and just really like moving this forward together as an industry.
Difficult to applaud with a microphone. So thank you very much, Natalie. Thank you very much to all the panelists. I don't think I could have summed it up much better, that we know that there's a problem. We've known within the elephant world, but also within the tourism world, that there's a problem, that elephants have not been looked after in ideal situations. And the good news is that a solution is beginning to come across through the research, through the veterinary side of things, through WAP and through ACES, who are having a look at camps, and they're beginning to assess and saying, these camps are actually doing what they say they're doing behind the scenes, and they're willing to work with us to move towards best practice or already at best practice, although one could argue that there is very little best practice. But we're working towards it. That answers the main question, I think, that somebody had, was how can people be better educated? I think it's very, very difficult to be better educated, but if you do go to a certified camp, the one that's recommended either by ACES or by WAP, you know that an expert has checked behind the scenes, and that is as close as you can get to making that work. Before we go into the main questions, one thing from Kundi's talk, you mentioned that the owner said he only had 1 million baht left. Would you like to explain why that's, I mean, to me, 1 million baht sounds like a lot of money, but of course, in the elephant world, it's not. Would you like to explain that that's why 1 million baht left is really dangerous for an elephant camp?
Yeah, so after the transition, like we finished the transition in April 2029. So it's pretty much like mid-year low season, and so because it was open during the low season, and so he basically shared with us that he only had 1 million baht left, to see how it goes. So I think for elephant camp, for all of us, 1 million, it depends, right? It can be a lot, or it can be just so little. But in terms of 1 million, and that 1 million, goes toward the whole, elephant, management, the camp operation, and that's toward the welfare of the elephant as well. I think we can agree that at that point, when he informed us, we step in. But after, the lesson learned from us is after COVID, because COVID pretty much killed tourism. There's no tourists. But after the 3 years of pandemic, as soon as tourism returned, what he informed us, it was surprisingly of great news for us, because it's proof to us that this elephant-friendly model, elephant-friendly business model work, because he said he no longer require the financial support from the organization. So for us, that's definitely reassurance that we looking for, and it showcased our elephant-friendly business model, that its work is not just theoretical, it's work in practice. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next most popular question, or the most popular question, just not from me, is, that was my question. Are there any implications for bad actors? To ACES, what happens if you audit an elephant sanctuary where the environment is not up to standard or unethical? So we'll ask that one first.
Okay, because everyone know that ACES is ground-based on the science and scientific research, right? So for our assessments or audit, we base on if they have the showing elephant on the ground, but the showing on the ground is still acceptable, not affect to the elephant behavior or elephant physicality, in the musculoskeletal problem, which we focus on that point more than other point, because in the musculoskeletal problem, we can check through the veterinary based and scientific research, right? So if they're not relate to our criteria. So this camp was not passed for this criteria. That is the same as the other standard, like the hotel or sustainable standard other. Yes, right. We do the same.
Yes, so if a camp doesn't hit the criteria, it doesn't
Yeah.
pass, and if it slides backwards or they find something happening, it loses its certification.
Yes. Yeah.
And I assume that's similar for WAP.
No, for WAP is different. Like we are animal welfare organization, but we don't do like accreditation or anything like that. We don't. Yeah, I think that's very important. Like that we get that understanding. Like right here. Like we don't do accreditation. We have we work with venue. Yeah. So as long as like we can come to agreement that they would transition and following our elephant-friendly guideline. We don't do accreditation, yeah, and we work closely with them as part of like monitoring and evaluation. Yeah, thank you.
But sorry, if a camp stops following the elephant-friendly guidelines, then they lose they're not accreditation.
Okay, not accreditation. So if like for example in the working agreement, like we basically say we will send like a mysterious shopper and stuff like that. So this is how we we let's say it's like M&E M&E process, right? And if we receive like such feedback, then we will like relay this message to our partner because we aim to improve. I mean, we understand that it's a complex we understand the complexity, and in order for the welfare to be good, it has to work for the camp, for the business, and because it's livelihood. So we understand that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So yes, there are implications for bad actors under this scheme, but also under these schemes there are implications for bad actors, and this is one of the reasons that we should be trusting the schemes, because in the outside world there are laws, but it doesn't, without the schemes, either elephant friendly or ACES, we have no way as a general public of knowing. We've got 3 minutes left, and the next most popular question is, should there even be a scenario, and is it even feasible where there are no more captive elephants? I think this is, does anybody want to take this one? It's one of my favorite subjects, but I can talk for 3 minutes on it. Anybody want to take this? Okay, so it's one of my favorite subjects. No, it's not feasible, I think, throughout the range states. I think India has a law that says we should have no more captive elephants, but there is nothing moving in that direction. There's no backup of that law, it's a statement. I think in Bangladesh is the only country that has captive elephants that is actually working to have no more captive elephants. I'm not a fan of elephants in captivity. I like wild elephants. I think that's the best place for elephants to be. But in every place where elephants have been living with humans for 4,000 years in captivity, captive elephants are an integral part of the culture, an integral part of the religion in many cases, just an integral part of the country. And I've been having this debate with people for well over 20 years now, because again, I prefer my elephants wild. I think it's just not feasible to assume that to just say there should be no captive elephants. I think we are in a situation which all of these guys are doing to make sure that the elephants that we do have, the elephants that are currently with us, are being looked after to the best possible way. And tourism can be a real driver for that when done correctly. And hopefully all of our panel here, because we've got a minute left, all of our panel here have helped show the way that tourism can be a driver for good practices within the captive elephant world. And again, from this point, we haven't discussed wild elephants. We haven't got time for that, unfortunately. But we also haven't discussed what happens to elephants if they're not involved in tourism. And I've been to some places, I've seen some things, they do drop off the radar. There becomes very, very little welfare intervention. They just are not seen. So tourism, I think, is the only way at the moment that we know of that elephants that are in captivity can make a living, can be fed, can support the communities. And so it's very, very important for all of us, and thank you very much to all the panel for showing how it can be done, that we use tourism to drive better welfare for elephants. So that's my time. Thank you very much to the panel. Round of applause for everyone, please.
A big round of applause to welcome